How's she going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's Workshop. I'm glad you're here today because I want to talk to you about my next project. It's going to be a big one, quite an undertaking, and it's going to take a long time to complete because I'm doing it in stages. But you see here on my right, I've got some acetonite sheets. I'm going to insulate my shop. I talked about this for a long time, about insulating the shop. I always wanted to do that, but it was expensive and, you know, I had other things to spend my money on. I'm going to tell you what I started up to do here. Behind me in this corner, this is where I'm going to start. I got 5 sheets of this 1/2 inch acetonite. I looked around to what I could use for materials, and I did a lot of research on this. What I ended up getting was, I went with the 7/16 acetonite. That's the cheapest sheathing I could find. And when I bought this sheathing, it was like $25 a sheet. I don't know what it is now. It was like $60 a sheet a year and a half ago. But anyways, the price has come down. So because I'm going to start in this corner, I'm only doing the shop like bit by bit, piece by piece, about 5 sheets. So I'm thinking I'm going to put 2 sheets on this far right wall, which is the west side of the shop. And then I'm going to put 3 sheets on this wall behind me, and that'll do this corner, right? And then we'll go from there. So it's going to be, like I say, that's why it's going to take time to do this project, because of my limited budget, I can only do portions at a time. I'm going to start insulating the shop today. You see, I'm going to start on this back wall here. So I have to strip all that off the back wall and put it somewhere. So that's kind of the process. I'm just going to pick stuff away, so we'll talk to you later. All right, it's coming. I got this section cleared out. I don't know where I'm going to put everything, but later on, probably tomorrow, I have to start cleaning off these shelves above the bench. Then I have to take the bench out. That's going to be a big job. But I'm planning to rebuild this bench, make it different. I'm not sure how yet, but we'll come up with something, I'm sure. Got a little bit more done. Stripping down above the workbench there. Took the shelf down and all. A couple of little things left up here. But next, I'm going to take the bench out. So I was busy last night for a while, and I finished stripping down this wall here, and then took the top and a lot of the stuff off the bench and the top off it. So today, the big job is I'm going to empty out all this metal, because that weighs about 2 tons, that drawer, and finish taking the bench off the wall. And then I can start maybe put paneling on this wall, putting the insulation and the sheathing on there. But I think before I start that, I may as well clean this corner out too, and I can do the whole thing at one shot. Anyway, it's coming. Big job, big job. No turning back now, that's for sure, eh? Well, we got this corner pretty well cleared out. And there goes the bench. I'm not sure how exactly this is all put together. Nails, I think, but anyway. That's the bench. We'll just set that aside. And, when it comes time to rebuild the bench, I'll strip this apart and use those 2x4s. I got it cleaned out pretty good. I have to take those shelves off that wall. And once I do that, then I can start laying out to figure out where, like how I'm going to put the sheets up, if I'm going to add more electrical, and then I can insulate, then I can vapor barrier, then I can put the sheathing on. So it's coming. There's a big job clearing all this out. We'll just show you the other side of the shop now, where I put all the stuff from this corner into the rest of the shop. Oh, baby. You know what? I'm glad I built myself a 16-foot bench. I needed every inch of it. Hey, you can almost hear your echo in here now. So I got everything stripped out of the corner. I thought this was a lot of work stripping it out. The work starts now. I'm going to start to insulate the shop today. But before I start that job, I had a lot of planning and reflecting and, you know, contemplating to do before I got at that. And the reason I was doing all that is because I want to have a plan of what my shop is going to look like before I actually start the work. Like, for example, am I going to have to move any electrical? You know, am I going to have to put in different lighting? I don't know, things like that. Where's the bench going to go? You know, is it going to be the same as before? So what I decided was, before I had my bench, if you remember, the bench was set up here. It went from this wall over to about where this outlet is. And that worked good, I have to say. I like having the bench at the back of the shop because it gives you more room than in the bay for bringing vehicles in or whatever. So having my bench in the corner, it wasn't too bad. However, I ended up with, because the corner of the bench was next to the wall, that was a great spot just to shove stuff, right? Because it wouldn't fall off. So I lost probably a third or more of my bench real estate with just junk piled up in the corner. So I was thinking, maybe if I set the bench away from the corner, I'd be less likely to pile junk in there. So my plan right now is I'm going to set back the bench about 20 inches from that wall and leave that space open, and then I can put maybe jacks in there, or maybe even build a little shelf unit. I can put jacks, jack stands, you know, lubricants, oils, you know, things I don't use very often, set those in there. And because I use them but not very often, I'd be forced to keep access to that area open. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So that means my bench then is going to be setting, you know, 20 inches from that wall, and it's going to be about 6 feet long. It'll come to about here, and then this arrangement that I have here with all my parts bins and my toolbox, I think this is all going to go away because all that's stored in there is just lumber, and all that lumber is going to end up going in the lumber shed. I haven't moved it yet, but that's got to go. So I don't know that this little half partition here, stub wall, is even going to stay there. So what I'm thinking is my toolbox will go at the end of the bench, and I don't know what I'll do with my little storage cubbies here. So I don't know whether I'll even keep that. But anyway, that's another thing to work on. After I get everything insulated and sheathed, then I have to start designing the shop again, and that's going to be a challenge. So one other thing that I'm considering or thinking about before I start is how am I going to put my sheathing up? There's lots of different thoughts about whether it should go horizontally or go vertically. I'll tell you what, if I were to put it up vertically, my studs are in 16-inch centers, and I tried very hard to put them at exactly 16-inch centers when I built the shop. But a lot of the studs had hoops in them before I got the sheathing on the outside of the building. Some of them aren't 16-inch centers anymore. I don't know what happened there. Must have been my helper did that part. But anyway, what I'm trying to say there is, if I were to put my sheathing on vertically, then I have a full 8-foot length that I have to line up on 3/4 of an inch of a target. Because you want it to come in the middle of the stud, right? The edge of the sheathing come in the middle of the stud. Sometimes that works great, but it's been my experience that oftentimes it doesn't work that great. So I'm thinking if I put them up horizontally, then I only have to have a 4-foot section that lines up instead of an 8-foot section. So I'm thinking I'm going to put them up horizontally. Another thing is, when I built the shop, I wanted to have a concrete knee wall around the perimeter of the slab, but that was just too expensive to do. So I just built my walls on the slab. So I built them with 8-foot studs, not stud length studs, but full 8-foot studs. So that means that my walls are not 8 feet tall anymore. They're in fact 8 feet plus 4.5 inches, because I have a bottom plate and 2 top plates. So that means my wall is 100.5 inches tall, right? Which is kind of neat. That little bit of extra space means you can take 8-foot materials and kind of swing them around in here a little bit easier. But when it comes time to putting sheathing on your wall, an 8-foot sheet now doesn't go to the ceiling. And I want to start right up at the ceiling with it. So that means it won't come all the way to the floor. So what I've done to solve that problem is, I went and bought some fence boards. Now these fence boards are 5.5 inches wide, and they're pressure treated. And one reason I got pressure treated was I have issues with moisture coming in under the wall because the floor plate, the sole plate is right on the slab. I oftentimes have moisture coming in under there, and because I was thinking of that when I built the shop, so I put the bottom plate, made it out of pressure treated wood to make sure, or to try to reduce and minimize the risk of rot. And it's been working great. The shop's been here for over 10 years and no signs of any rot there. So what I'd like to do is put my sheathing on tight to the ceiling and bring it down and put like a baseboard around the perimeter of the shop to fill in that gap. So that's the story there. So it's good to have a plan before you start, because as you start building, you can incorporate some of what your plan is into the building if need be, right? Well, you know, I spent a lot of time cleaning out that corner of the shop, the mechanical bench area, cleaning the bench off, and well, you saw the mess I have here on the big bench. Yeah, big job. But anyway, the big job is over. Now the big job starts. I have to clean that up, check to see if there's any electrical changes I need to make as far as outlets go. I have to kind of guess in my head how I'm going to lay out the new mechanical section over there. Am I going to change the bench arrangement around? I don't know what yet. I have to work on that. But then we're ready to insulate, vapor barrier, and put the sheathing up. So that's coming up. So stay tuned. I hope you're enjoying the series here. That's going to be coming up about insulating the shop. It's a big job for me. It's going to be fun for you to sit back and watch. Thanks for tuning in. Leave me some comments. Give me some tips about how you'd set up your shop, how you'd set up your mechanical bench. Maybe there's some advice there that I could use, because heaven knows I need it. Take care, folks. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you.